Cardano is going to break the internet. Those were Charles Hoskinson's exact words this week, and it stopped me in my tracks. I mean, break the internet? Well, that's a phrase that you usually hear about viral cat videos or celebrity selfies, not a blockchain. So you can bet that I did a double take when I saw the founder of Cardano boldly make that claim on X. Now, I know it sounds crazy at first. Here's a guy who's known for his big ideas suddenly saying that his crypto project will do something that wild. Naturally, my skeptic alarm went off. Break the internet, really? But then I thought, what if he's onto something, right? This wasn't just some random hype tweet. Hoskinson dropped the line right after coming out of a high-profile crypto roundtable in Washington, D.C. Now, the context got my curiosity spinning here. So I grabbed a coffee, I sat down, and I went on a little fact-finding adventure to see what's brewing behind the scenes of Cardano. And you know what? The deeper that I dug, the more that I started nodding and thinking maybe the man isn't as crazy as he sounds. Okay, quick backstory. I've been holding ADA, that's Cardano's native coin, for a pretty decent while. It's been a roller coaster. I've seen people call Cardano a ghost chain. I've weathered those moments when progress felt slow, and I've definitely questioned my life choices during the brutal bear markets. At one point, I was this close to selling my ADA stack and moving on, because waiting for Cardano updates can feel like waiting for rain in a drought. You know the vibe, right? But something kept me around, probably the promise of Cardano's aiming to do things differently, slow and steady, peer-reviewed, built for the long haul. Still, a claim like breaking the internet is a whole new level of bold. It's like hearing your quiet friend suddenly says that they're going to become a Hollywood star. You're happy if it happens, but you've got to see some evidence first, right? So, what evidence did I find? First, let's talk about the meeting in DC. This week, Charles Hoskinson and a bunch of crypto big shots sat down with US lawmakers to push forward something called the Clarity Act. Now, seeing crypto folk and politicians actually kind of collaborate is like seeing cats and dogs share a dinner bowl. It almost never happens. But under the current administration, which is surprisingly crypto-friendly, they're actually really trying to hash out clear rules for digital assets. Now, Hoskinson said that this meeting was a pivotal step towards regulatory clarity. Now, why should we all care? Well, it's because up until now, crypto has been stuck in a very weird grey zone. One regulator says that one thing and another will say something else, and projects like Cardano are left tiptoeing around, hoping that they don't step on a legal landmine. So if the Clarity Act or similar efforts succeed, it's like finally getting a green light at an intersection that's been red forever. Cardano and the whole crypto industry could finally move forward without constantly looking over their shoulder. That, my friends, could be huge, right? It could spark a wave of innovation and adoption. Maybe that'll be part of why, or at least what, our guy Charles actually meant by break the internet. Not literally explode the web, but make such a splash that everyone online takes notice. Now, here is the interesting bit. Hoskinson actually praised some of Cardano's usual kind of rivals during that roundtable. Now, he gave a shout out to Ripple and XRP supporters, and even venture capitalist firm 𝗗𝗶𝘀𝗰𝗍𝗋, you know, those Silicon Valley heavyweights. I murdered the name, I usually do. Anyway, when the guy behind Cardano is high-fiving the XRP army and big venture funds, you know that something is shifting. It felt like the average at least the Avengers were assembling, and honestly, rival companies, exchange CEOs from Coinbase and Kraken, stablecoin issuers like Circle, all in the same room, presumably on board with clear crypto rules. Now that unity is kind of refreshing. It's not just Cardano fighting for itself. It's a bunch of major players pushing together. Now, as an ADA holder, this was the moment that I went from skeptical to optimistic. If heavy hitters are aligning interests, the tide might be turning for the whole crypto space. I even kind of caught myself thinking, hey, maybe I won't have to keep half of my crypto on the down low from my bank in a couple of years, right? Regulatory clarity could normalize crypto in a way that we haven't seen before. And Cardano, being one of the more academically kind of grown up projects, stands to kind of benefit if it's finally given a fair regulatory playing field. Now, I should mention, I'm not just watching this from the sidelines, right? I dabble on various different exchanges, both big names and the newer ones too. For instance, I've been test driving Bluefin, the affiliate link that's in the description down below, which helps support the channel, by the way. And it's one of those kind of up and coming trading platforms. It's actually pretty user friendly, right? The reason that I bring it up is even smaller exchanges and US retail folks stand to gain from clearer laws. It means that we won't wake up to news like XYZ exchange got sued into oblivion. And as often as we have seen in the past, right, when I see Cardano's founder mixing it up in DC alongside Coinbase and Kraken, right, at least I realized that this isn't a fringe project anymore. Cardano is inserting itself into the bigger conversations, and a clear, legal green light might actually let Cardano reach its full potential. Maybe even in ways that could, in least figurative sense, break the internet with a flood of new users or groundbreaking decentralized applications. Now, speaking of proving people wrong, remember those haters calling Cardano a ghost chain or even a scam? Yeah? Hoskinson's got some words for them too. Recently, an independent audit looked into this big controversy about Cardano's early token distribution. There were allegations flying around that hundreds of millions of ADA went missing, right? Or were misused back in the early days. Pretty spicy stuff, right? Well, the audit results are in, and guess what? It found that 99.7%, basically almost all of the ADA vouchers from those early days, were properly redeemed by the rightful owners. No insider theft, no magic disappearing act. Essentially, the accusations were just hot air. So when I read that, I imagined an accountant going through all of the books like, yep, everything is there, folks. It's like someone claimed 600 million cupcakes vanished from the bakery. Then an audit shows that 597 million of them were actually sold and the rest are sitting in the pantry. In other words, nothing was really missing. Hoskinson, being the character that he is, took to X after being vindicated and said he's waiting for the apologies to come rolling in. Now that gave me a good old laugh and a bit of satisfaction as an ADA holder, right? The man has been under fire from critics for years. Seeing him kind of dunk on them with receipts kind of felt like a rocky victory moment for the community. More importantly, it reinforces that Cardano is doing things above board. In a world where trust is hard to come by, especially in crypto, the audit was a breath of fresh air. It made me even more confident that Cardano's founders are solid, right? Not built on some kind of sketchy practices. And the confidence, my friends, is kind of the fuel that can propel a project like this to new heights. Now, let me get to the juicy part for all of us investors and traders, the price action, because all the kind of great tech and regulation progress in the world still has to translate to charts moving up, right? So ADA's price has been quietly and steadily climbing. Now, as I'm speaking, it's hovering around 90 cents, although it has been pulling back. Not gonna lie, seeing it inch its way up towards $1 has me feeling pretty giddy, right? Like seeing an old friend finally get their big break, right? Even more interesting, right? The trading volumes have exploded too. Now we're talking about $32 billion in trading volume in the past day or so, right? That's billions with a B, which is just insane for Cardano. It's like everyone suddenly woke up and said, it's time to get some ADA. And it's not just spot trading either. I peeked at the derivatives market too. The open interest on ADA's futures, basically the total of all the bets that people have open on ADA's price action, jumped from about $1.78 billion to about $1.87 billion literally overnight. And guess what? A lot of those new positions are longs, meaning that traders are betting that the price will go up, right? So picture a bunch of high rollers around a poker table suddenly pushing their chips in on Cardano, right? That's basically what is happening here. It's a signal that big money, or at least a lot of money, is getting bullish, and you can feel the FOMO brewing. Even on exchanges like BitGet, the affiliate link is in the description, supports the channel by the way, folks have been loading up, and I can see, or at least practically sense, the collective excitement right now. Now, I am not saying that volume or open interest alone guarantees anything, but when you see metrics like that surge, it kind of usually means that something is brewing. It's kind of like storms gathering on the horizon. It could be an absolute rager, could just pass on by, but you know that the conditions are there for something to happen. Technically, the charts are, at a critical make or break point. Now, I was looking at ADA's daily chart. Yeah, I geek out on those squiggly lines too. And I noticed a symmetrical triangle pattern forming over the past few weeks. If you're not a kind of chart lingo or into the chart lingo, picture this, right? The price action has been bouncing in a narrow cone, right? A bit like a spring coiling tighter and tighter. We're now right at the tip of that triangle, right? Around that kind of 95-cent marker, which is basically the upper resistance line. Historically, when the price breaks out of a triangle like this, especially after several days of green candles, it can pop off pretty hard, right? We're talking potentially a quick sprint past $1. In fact, one key level that all the analysts seem to be watching is around $1.01. That's a Fibonacci retracement line for all the technically inclined. But all you need to really know is that it's a target if momentum really does kick on in. Now, imagine the headlines if ADA crosses back above $1 for just after all of this time. Crypto Twitter would go bananas, of course. The last time that ADA was above $1, a lot of people were still writing it off. So a breakout now would actually be a pretty decent statement. Not exactly breaking the whole internet, but definitely cracking crypto Reddit and Twitter in half for a day or two. Now, I have to confess here, I've been glued to the screen a bit more than usual recently. I've got that feeling that you get when a movie is at its climax and you're half covering your eyes, but also can't look away, right? Will it break out, or is this just another fake out? As of now, it's testing that line, like a bold kitten pawing at the door, deciding whether to leap. Now, this might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor, and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile, and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your own responsibility, and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed when it comes to investing. Neither I, this channel, nor YouTube are liable for any losses, and this video is for entertainment and educational purposes only. All right, we had to throw that out there, and because, hey, I'm over here all hyped up talking about big moves and internet breaking events. I care about you guys, and I want to keep it real. In fact, that's exactly why I hang out in our community. Just the other day, I hopped into the free educational Discord server, the link, by the way, is in the description, to see what everyone was saying about Cardano. The vibes were electric. People were sharing charts, news snippets, and yes, a few spicy memes about Hoskinson breaking the internet. One new member was like, guys, should I buy ADA now? It's kind of high. And it was kind of heartwarming to see the community gently kind of remind them, at least before I even had to chime on in here, is that the basics. You don't FOMO, you do your own research, and you understand the risks. I love that, right? It's a spot where you can all get excited, but also keep each other grounded at the same time. So if you're feeling a little bit lost in all of the hype, or just want to celebrate those moments with fellow crypto nerds, come and join us on Discord. It's free, it's educational, and it's pretty friendly if I do say so myself. Now, stepping back just a little bit, I realized that this whole Cardano journey has been on over the kind of past, that I've been on over the past week or so, has kind of been a kind of an eye-opening event. Right? Now, a few days ago, if you had asked me about Hoskinson saying Cardano will break the internet, I'd probably have just smirked and rolled my eyes. Now, after seeing what's been unfolding, I'm not smirking anymore. I'm actually watching intensely here, right? I've gone from doubter to something like a casually optimistic believer. I mean, I'm not expecting Cardano to literally take down Google or anything crazy like that. Please don't do that, right? But I can envision, right, at least it hitting the next level of mainstream awareness. Maybe break the internet ends up meaning Cardano does something so big, like a killer application or a massive surge in users, that the internet has to pay attention. Or maybe ADA's price will spike so hard during a bull run that it breaks crypto Twitter with trending hashtags and laser-eyed profile pictures. All I know is that it feels like all the stars are aligning in a way that I haven't felt in a long time with this project. The regulatory winds are shifting favorably. The tech base is validated and strong. The community's fired up. And even the chart is looking pretty spicy. So it's like all of those pieces that I've been waiting on are finally actually coming together. Now, of course, I'm not saying that it's guaranteed money in the bank. Crypto will humble you real fast if you start thinking that. But I'll tell you this, I would rather be on a train with a ticket in hand than watching it leave the station without me. If Cardano can even achieves maybe a fraction of what Hoskinson is even hinting at, then it's going to be one heck of a ride for those of us on board. And if it somehow actually breaks the internet one day, well, you can bet that I'm probably going to be here making a follow-up video about it, probably with my jaw on the floor, saying, I told you so. And also probably agonizing and apologizing, I should say, to my past self for even doubting. So yeah, I'm kind of fully strapped in with my ADA bags, eyes open, and optimism at an all-time high, with a sprinkle of caution as always, right? Whether you're kind of a seasoned ADA holder or someone who's just stumbled on this video wondering what all the fuss is about, well, these are exciting times. Cardano is writing a story here, potentially a big one, and I'm thrilled to have a tiny part of it as an investor and a community member watching it all unfold. For now, guys, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to join me on this wild Cardano ride, as I don't want you to miss what happens next.